Hi guys, it's Fina and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be doing a book tag, and that is the reread book tag. So I was tagged to do this by Kate and Tony from An Erudite Adventure. Thank you guys so much for tagging me. I think this is going to be a really fun tag. So question number 1 is, where do you stand on the rereading scale between almost never and all the time? So for me, I really think that it varies a lot. I did reread a lot when I was a younger teen, but as I've gotten older and my reading tastes have started to branch out more, I find myself rereading less and less, which makes me feel sad, but there are just so many new books to read that even though I do really want to reread old favorites, I also just want to discover new favorites as well, and so it's just finding that balance, I think. Right now, I reread very little, but that's because my TBR is overwhelming. So I would say right in the middle, because I do really love to reread books, and I can't see myself rereading books almost never, and so I'm just going to say I sit right in the middle. Question number 2 is, has that changed over your reading life? Yes, 100% yes. I used to reread a whole lot, like I said, when I was a younger teen, but now that I'm older, I can't seem to find the time to reread as much as I would like to. There are just so many new books to read that I'm finding it sometimes very difficult to prioritize rereads because I just want to deal with my overflowing TBR. I want to get it more manageable, and so I just haven't really found the time to reread as much as I would want to recently. So yeah, since I've started reading more and branching out from my reading comfort zones, I do feel like I've reread less, but I do really want to start striking a balance between not rereading at all and rereading all the time, because I do really want to reread some old favorites soon, and I need to prioritize my favorite books as well. Question number 3 is, when do you reread? Immediately after, or years later, or when the mood strikes? When the mood strikes, definitely. I'm a mood reader to the core, and so it's really just whenever I feel like it. I'm definitely a mood reader. Question number 4 is, why do you reread books? And honestly, because I want to experience the books that I love again. I just want to revisit the worlds and the characters that I fell in love with the first time and just experience the magic of those stories all over again. I honestly cannot imagine really loving a book and only reading it once. I honestly can't, because I can't imagine just loving something that much and then just never revisiting it, never looking back on it, and never experiencing it again. I can't even imagine that. Question number 5 is, how do you reread books? Faster, slower, or just the best bits? So sometimes I will just randomly flip through a book and read scenes that I love from it, but I don't really class that as rereading. I did that when I finished Oathbringer back in January. I would just randomly flip through and read this one scene near the end because it just made me feel all the things, and I just needed to read it again because it's just so good. But I don't really class that as rereading. If I'm going to reread a book, I will start at the start and finish at the finish. I feel like I reread them at the same pace that I did when I read them the first time. I mean, maybe I would read them a little bit slower because I know how it's going to end. I don't need to know what's going to happen next because I do know what's going to happen next, but I don't feel like I would read them too much slower or too much faster. I would say around the same length of time. Question number 6 is, who/what do you reread more specifically? So I reread Harry Potter. I've reread it dozens of times. I don't even know how many times. I've reread Inkheart a few times. I also know that I've reread the Little House books like dozens of times. I don't even know how many times with that one either, just because it was a childhood favorite, and so I would just reread it over and over and over again. Over the last few years, I've also found a few authors and series that I know I'm going to be rereading at some point and rereading over and over and over, even though I haven't reread them yet. Like, I know I'm going to be rereading V. Schwab's books, Brandon Sanderson's, Maggie Stiefvater's, as well as Strange the Dreamer, Magonia, The Book Thief. There are dozens that I know I'm going to be rereading multiple times because I just love them so much and they're so close to my heart. Question number 7 is there a book that you found better when you reread it? So at first I honestly couldn't think of any, and then I remembered that I had reread the Lunar Chronicle series by Marissa Meyer prior to my family moving, and so it just gave me something to read while all the craziness with moving was happening. And I do remember enjoying 2 of the books way more the second time around, and the one that I'm going to be talking about specifically is Winter by Marissa Meyer. The first time I read this series, I did not enjoy this as much. I was a little bit disturbed by the violence. I didn't like where Wolf's character went very much, and I didn't love Winter as a character, but the second time through, I appreciated Winter as a character so much more, and I loved her relationship with Jason. I actually ended up being okay with where Wolf's character went. I can't really say more without spoilers, but you probably know if you've read the series. And I didn't find that the violence disturbed me very much the second time through, or was it the third time through? I can't remember if I've reread this series twice or 3 times, but this is now my favorite book in the Lunar Chronicles series, which should tell you a lot. And honestly, I can't believe that I didn't love this book as much as I do now. But yeah, I'm very glad that I reread this series because this book is amazing and I love it. Question number 8 is, and one that was worse. So for this, I really couldn't think of any that I've read very recently, and so I had to pick Outcasts by Jill Williamson. Jill Williamson's Safeland series was one of my favorites when I was 16, 17. I loved it so much. When I reread it, I do feel like the flaws in the second book especially are more apparent, and obviously I did reread these a while ago as well, but I found that the second time through I just didn't enjoy it quite as much as I did the first time. I don't know. And I honestly am debating on whether or not I should even reread the series again, because I have been thinking about rereading it because I loved it so much when I was like 17. But the thing is, there's a plot line in this book where one of the characters disguises himself as a vigilante named the Owl. And I can't think of a superhero named the Owl without thinking of that dude from Miraculous Ladybug. And I don't even watch that show, but my siblings do all the time, and so I've seen a good deal of it, and I don't know that I'd be able to reread this book keeping a straight face, you know? It's not bad, and I don't remember it being bad, but it wasn't as good the second time through as it was the first time through, as I remember, and I could be remembering wrong, maybe I'm remembering wrong, but this was the only book that I could think of off the top of my head. Question number 9 is, which book have you reread the most times? This one's really, really hard. Probably Harry Potter. I can't think of which book, but I know I've reread the whole series like many, many times. I didn't keep track, so I don't know how many times, but I know I've reread it a lot. And also Little House in the Big Woods. I reread that so much when I was a kid, so I've probably reread that upwards of a dozen times. Those 2 would probably be my answers, though I can't say definitively because, like I said, I didn't keep track. And question number 10 is tag someone. So I don't actually know that many people on BookTube yet, so I don't really know anybody to tag. And so if you're watching this video and you'd like to do this tag, consider yourself tagged by me. Thanks again, Kate and Tony, so much for tagging me. I had a great time doing this video. And guys, please check out Kate and Tony's channel. I'll be linking them in the description box down below. If you enjoyed this video, please be sure to give it a like and subscribe if you'd like to see more of my content. I post videos every Monday and Friday. I will see you guys again very soon. Bye.